Hello, teacher. Good evening.
Hello, Daniel. How are you? Is everything going bien? How's everything
Everything,
going?
everything good, teacher. Thanks for asking.
Great. That's great, Daniel. So today we have two things, Daniel, as always, as an option. We have first a listening exercise, and then we have the article. But as we practiced last week, if I'm not wrong, with the video, right, about the muscles and so on, today we're going to be working with this article related to waste food and natural gas. All right, this is in a certain way related to the conflict with Russia and Ukraine, but it's going to be interesting learning some vocabulary from this part. So let's work with this one this week. All right, it's going to be perhaps today and next Tuesday. All right, do you have any comments or questions before starting? Let me know, please.
Mm, no, teacher. How is food can reduce or reliance on natural gas?
Okay, yes, so
Uh,
let's start analyzing. Let's read one more time, please, Daniel, and tell me what you understand from this headline and what do you think this article will be about.
mm, it sounds like the first part sounds like when you get it. I'm trying to find another word to replace waste, but it explains by itself waste like uh I don't know how to say when you ¿cómo se decía? Tirar o
Good. You
¿cuál?
can say if you want when you throw something away, when you get
Yeah.
rid of something. Okay. So what happens? So try to explain it. It's important to try to explain this one so that we are ready. For example, how can you explain waste? What is waste and what's specifically waste food? Right. In this case, this is a noun, a compound noun, because it has two words.
I was thinking on ways like when you don't take advantage of something or I don't know the word, but in Spanish like desperdicio. Mm,
Yes, it is correct. It is correct. So, for example, you can use these words or you can try to explain. You were telling, right? You throw away. But for example, what is waste food? I mean, it's okay. Your translation is okay. But how can you explain this word? What is that part of the food, or how can you explain this one? For example, if someone doesn't know the meaning, how can you explain the meaning in your own words?
okay, I am thinking on for example when you throw out your food, the it could be uh yeah, chicken or something like that. Residuals could be, but those those or this food that it's I don't know, it could be in the trash. Uh, for me that sounds like waste food.
Very good. I think that was great. All right. The only thing, instead of throw out, is going to be better if you say to throw away something. All right. Throw
Throw
away
away,
something. Good. So
away.
yes, that's perfect. And the word was perfect. Only the stress is going to be like the residues. Okay, residues. But yes, also you can use this word. Daniel is going to be in the chat. The leftover. Okay, and that's literally what's left, okay, from your food. For example, the bones, the skin or the peel, right? The skin
Okay.
of certain foods, the peel from certain fruits, all right? So anything that you don't eat is going to be a residue, is going to be a leftover, right? And that material, that food that you don't eat or that humans don't eat, or perhaps they didn't eat for a certain reason, they can do what? They can reduce our reliance. Now, this is a very important reliance on natural gas. So it means, in other words, they are saying that they can replace, in a certain way, natural gas. But let's try to explain this word before, Daniel. What is to rely on something, or what is a reliance on something?
Oh, I already searched the word in internet, sorry, but it says that it's like mm, the dependency.
Yes, good. It's like a very similar synonym to dependence, right? To have a dependence on something. In this case, natural gas, right? It means that your consumption on energy depends on natural gas. But waste food can be a way to reduce, right? That dependence on natural gas, right? So I think that that's the headline, and it's important to understand the rest of the article. So I don't know if you have any other questions. I think it's clear now, Daniel, but let me know, please.
No, teacher, it's clear.
Okay, so with that, let's go to the introduction, a very short introduction, which is this one over here, Daniel. Let's read this one now, please.
Oh, sorry. As gas prices hit record hikes, one renewable alternative to fossil fuel gas comes from food waste, farm sludge, and sewage.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniel. Only these words we're going to practice, sorry. This one and this one. So this O is going to be a little bit more like sludge. Let's repeat that one, please.
Sludge,
Good. Sludge, great. And this one is going to be like sewage, sewage,
sewage.
sewage. All right, good. So in other words, to understand these words, you can understand them like residues. Food waste, right? That's the residue from what you eat or you don't eat. Farm sludge is part of a process in farms, but it's also considered a way of residue that you can use to grow
Residue.
plants to feed animals. All right. Also, sludge is what happens, or it's the name of let's say, the ground when it gets wet, right? When it
Okay.
rains, the ground gets wet. That's called sludge. But farm sludge is a specific type of sludge. All right. It's a mix between components that they use to grow plants and to do certain processes. All right.
I
And
remember
so,
that.
yeah, tell me, Daniel.
Yeah, I can imagine that, the farm sludge.
Great, great.
Like
So
abono?
related to that, not specifically, actually, it's sort of related to many things. That word that you're telling me, I'm going to tell you now, but we're going to go, it's going to be this
Mm,
one. Okay. That's the specific word. But this is related to, it can be included, this one, but it's like a mix of other components as well. All right. I'm not an expert in that field, but for example, I had a student who was an expert in that field, and she explained to me, all right, and she told me that it's not only this, the manure, okay, it's not only manure, but it's a mix of other components that they use at farms. Okay, I don't know specifically what components, but it's made of some residues, and they use that to grow plants, but also to feed sometimes animals and to do certain processes at farms in general. All right, but in other words, then the main thing we need to understand here is that we are in front of many types of residues: food waste, farm sludge, and sewage. What is sewage, Daniel? What do you say?
mm, I don't remember sewage, right?
In this case, it's a little bit between E and U, like su, and this like a sewage, sewage.
Sewage.
All right. So what is that? What is sewage?
No, I don't know that word.
All right. In this case, can be related to this process, but if you want to understand this separately, you can talk about residual water. Okay, residual water. For example, the sewers. Okay, the sewers are underground, right, under every city, Daniel, and all the residues. Okay, all the residues, for example, from the bathroom, okay, from the kitchen, everything goes there to the
Mm,
sewers. Okay, so the sewage is in general the residual water, the water that contains, all right, all that dirty thing that goes to a certain place or to be decontaminated, or I don't know what process it follows after that.
How
Okay, but
can
I don't know.
I
Yeah, tell me, Daniel.
how can I write the sewers?
Supers is like this only with ER. Okay, I'm going to, sorry, let me change this one. We're going to look that together. All right, supers.
Sewers.
So this one, well, there you
Mm,
have the word. All right. So
alcantarilla.
exactly. And the sewage is the contents that go through the sewers.
All right, new words
All right.
for me.
Okay, so it means if you realize everything again is a residue. Okay, food waste, residue, farm sludge, a kind of residue, many components they use at farms, and sewage, and residual water that go through sewers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And they are saying, but no, actually, with that, what can you tell me about this introduction with the explanation from these three words, Daniel?
Okay. Mm, yeah, the gas increases the price. So they are thinking on replace it or support on another kind of material like this one described. Uh, no, not really. Uh, yeah, they are thinking an alternative for of alternative of a kind of or that type of gas that yeah come from these materials.
All right. Yes, the first explanation also was good because you said replace, right? And it's correct. So gas, natural gas, is hitting, reaching, right? Record heights. So the price is very high. So they need to look for an alternative. And an alternative for fossil fuels, because natural gas is considered a fossil fuel, is the use of these components, right? Food waste, farm sludge, and sewage. So in other words, they are saying that we can use these three to create energy, all right, to create energy. And the thing that I'm going to ask you before going to the next paragraph, Daniel, how do you think, okay, how do you think that they can create energy using food waste, farm sludge, and sewage? What do you say?
Wow, it's a difficult question because I already know how the words means. So I can imagine in a combination of those, but I don't know if it's a gas. Maybe they can combine or mix all the material and then try to uh, get the pollution of those. Could be, I don't know.
Right? It's good. The logic that you're following, I think it's correct, Daniel, because again, right, I'm not an expert, a professional in this aspect, but I read the article already. And yes, they can obtain, okay, a very specific component from all these three elements that is going to create one type of energy, one type of gas. All right, and they are
Okay.
going to call that a biogas. Okay, biogas. So it's related to a biological elements, right? So gas extracted from biological elements like food waste, farm sludge, and sewage. But let's read that, all right? In order not to get and to be like that, to not to understand that one, let's read. And here we're going to understand that a little bit more. So let's read this one, please, Danny.
Okay, at a large industrial facility not far southwest of Ireland's capital, Dublin, one man says all food waste and pig manure can help Europe fight climate change and reduce its reliance on Russia for energy. Billy Costello explains that decaying organic matter releases biogas, which firms like Green Generation, the one he directs, can collect and purify to produce methane, or biomethane, as it's called when it comes from such sources.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. So again, the explanation is in the last part, right? I think that's the most important part. First, all right, I'm going to give you my words before that one. They are looking for alternatives, right? Because of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. You know that Russia is the biggest, right? One of the biggest exporters in terms of fuel, right? Natural gas. And Europe depends on Russia. But now Russia and Europe, let's say, they are not getting along, right? Because of the problems. So they don't want to depend on Russia. That's why they want to look for alternatives. And one, again, is following this process here, right? Doing something with these elements in order to obtain what? Here is the answer.
Wow,
Biogas. All
this is
right.
quite recent, right?
Yeah, to tell me one more time.
This is pretty recent.
Yeah, the reason you're telling me.
Oh, I saw the date, 24th March. Oh, this is
Yes,
happening
it
now.
is. Yes, this is pretty recent. All right, this is pretty recent. So it's related, as I told you, right? It's related to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And that's
Hmm.
why in Europe, they are looking for alternatives. Because again, they don't want to depend on Russia. They don't have a lot of natural resources in Europe, right? Because they have to import a lot of things. And that's
Hmm.
why Russia is doing one of those things. But before going there, we can have a conversation about that one as well. But let's try to explain. Then, how can you explain in your own words, Daniel? What is the process? What are they doing in order to get energy from these three elements?
Uh, I don't know what means decaying, uh, but with that, they could uh, they could release or achieve biogas, and then they produced uh, two, well, methane or biomethane. So yeah, it's all the process that they did to get some of these materials or chemicals.
Okay, good. This one, something that can help. Decaying means like decomposing. Okay,
Okay.
decomposing. So, decomposing organic matter, for example, food waste, right? Of course, it's going to decompose, right? And when it decomposes, all right, when it's decaying, it naturally, okay, this is not a process in lab or laboratory. This is a natural process, right? It releases biogas. So they can collect and purify this biogas to produce methane. Okay, this is going to be like the methane or biomethane. All right, and biomethane can be used again and can work as a creator or producer of energy. All right, in a certain way, it can replace the use of natural gas. All right, but let's repeat then these words to finish, please, Daniel. This is going to be decaying.
Decaying,
Good. Again, right? Decaying means decomposing. Biogas.
biogas,
Good. This U, a little bit more like EU. Purify.
purify,
Good. This a little bit like TH and A. Methane.
methane,
Good. And biomethane.
biomethane.
Great. All right. So we're finishing here because of the time, Daniel. I don't know if you have any final comments or questions. We're going to continue working on this on Tuesday.
Okay, teacher, sounds good. No question.
Great. Very good. So as always, please let's fill out the survey and then that's going to be it. Thanks for being here. Have a good night and I'll see you on Monday. Remember that tomorrow we don't have classes.
Okay, sounds good. See you
All
tomorrow.
right.
See you on Monday, teacher. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. See you. All right. Now with you, Larissa. How are you, Larissa? Is everything okay? Are you there, Larissa? Can you hear me? I cannot hear you, Larissa. Perhaps you're doing something or something is happening with the microphone. All right, we're going to continue working with this one, but let me know, please, when you're there, when you fix that problem.
Hello, teacher.
Hello, Larissa. Can you hear me?
Sorry, my Zoom stopped.
All right, don't worry. How are you, Larissa? Is everything okay?
Yes, it's
Great. Great, Larissa. So let's continue working on this one. Do you remember what we were doing last conversation, Larissa? Tell me what you remember, please, from the last practice, listening practice.
um,
It,
I read. Uh, I don't remember something like with brain.
all right, good. And if you remember, I think with you, Larissa, if I'm not wrong, we were practicing the listening, and it was about improving the memory,
Yes, that
right?
the yes.
Exactly. And then it was a conversation between two people, right? And one of those person didn't remember, right? Hey, what's your name? It was Neil and Rob, right? And they were talking about the brain and the memory. And they asked the question, right? And you told me the answer, Arisa, but I'm going to show you that question one more time with the captions, all right? So that you remember your answer and we can go to that part. So here we go, only the question.
There are many ways we can improve our memory, but one way is through the type of food we eat. According to the BBC Food website, which type of food supports good memory function? Is it A, eggs, B, spinach, or C, bananas?
Well, as a kid, I was always told that spinach was good for me. Popeye ate it to make him strong. So I'll say B, spinach.
Well, I'll have the answer later on. Now,
Okay, so that was the question, right? And I think that you also told me spinach, right? But we're going to learn the answer then after this part, Larissa. Now let's listen to the next part. I'm going to turn off the captions. Let's pay attention and I'm going to ask you some questions. All right, here we go.
let's talk more about improving our memory. Memory is the ability to encode, store and recall information, but a number of factors can affect people's memory processes, including health, anxiety, mood, stress and tiredness.
That's why, for example, if you're taking an exam, it's important to get a good night's sleep and to keep healthy. But Neil, when you're revising for an exam, what helps you to remember facts?
I tend to write things down again and again and again and again.
Well, that's one way, but people have different styles to help them remember. According to the BBC's I Wonder Guide, there are 3 different styles: visual, auditory and kinesthetic.
Up to that part, there is a lot of language over here, all right, can be complex, interesting, but it's important that it doesn't matter if we don't watch the whole thing, right, or listen to the whole thing. It's important to get the elements here, Larissa. So what can you tell me? We're going to play it again, but what can you tell me about this part of the listening?
Okay, talk about the the memory is the ability for recollect information and depend of different function like the style of like the, every person. Um, and, and the last part is say something three dependent. No, it's three different. I don't remember the words, but it's visual, auditory, maybe, and kinesthetic.
Very good. Yes, we're only going to work details in those words, but yes, it's going to be visual, auditory, right, and kinesthetic. But good, right? What's related to, of course, visual aspects. The other one to audition, right, to the sounds, to the yes, vibrations produced, right, by nature. And the last one, kinesthetic, could be. There's another way to call it that one. But what do you think is the last one, or what do you know is the last one? That is, what is something related to kinetics or kinesthetic?
Kinesthetic, it's like the movements with our bodies, maybe. Like,
Very good. It is correct. Related to movement, right? Any type of movement. But let's go, okay, back a little bit, Larissa. You have very important elements. My only correction, instead of depend directly, it's better if you always say it, okay? It depends on, and then you say whatever, okay? Because if you say only depend, it's going to be like Spanish. So you always use the subject before. All right, just that. Good. But let's listen. You're going to tell me, please, Larissa, in this second listening. But it's the same. I'm going to play it again. But try to identify, try to spot what elements affect our memory. It can be in a negative way. All right. And also, but no, first that one. All right. First that one. And then you're going to try to tell me something related to an exam. All right. What's an important thing to do before taking an exam? Okay. So here we go. Once again.
Popeye ate it to make him strong, so I'll say B.
Later on. Now, let's talk more about improving our memory. Memory is the ability to encode, store, and recall information.
First, actually, before going further, you told me something about it, but let's try to get the three verbs over there. It's going to be important. And I'm not going to ask you about this one, so let's just read. So memory is the ability to encode, right? First, encode, right? You put it in a code that you can understand. The store is to save it, right? To save it in a place. And what else? To recall. It means to use the information that you saved. All right, let's have that in mind. Now they are going to mention the factors. Let's pay attention to the factors next.
But a number of factors can affect people's memory processes, including health, anxiety, mood, stress, and tiredness.
Okay, those are the elements. What can you recognize from those elements or factors, Larissa?
Only stress.
Okay, let's listen one more time. All right, there's at least 4 that we're going to identify, but let's listen one more time.
Memory. Memory is the ability to encode, store, and recall information, but a number of factors can affect people's memory processes, including health, anxiety, mood, stress, and tiredness.
What do you say? Any other all elements that you spotted?
No, I can't recognize.
Don't worry. Again, it's the accent and also the speed. I know it's a challenge, but let's do it together. All right, I'm going to repeat.
Is the ability to encode, store, and recall information, but a number of factors can affect people's memory
So the number of factors that can affect, right? So the factors that affect people's memory are going to be the following.
processes, including health.
Okay, your health, right? Good health, bad health. Health, anxiety, right? If you're anxious about something, if you have anxiety about something, okay, to be anxious.
Mood, stress, and tiredness.
Okay, mood. Are you happy? Are you sad? What's your mood? Are you in the mood? Okay, mood, stress, and tiredness. It means if you are tired or if you are not tired. Okay, but let's read those ones because it's interesting. Again, that one. Okay, so health, anxiety. Let's repeat these words, please, Larissa.
Health, anxiety, mood, stress, and tiredness.
Good, exactly. All right, so as you can see, there's a lot of elements that are going to affect our memory. And that's why, and we're going to finish with this one, please. You're going to tell me then what is important before taking an exam. Okay, so let's listen only this last part.
Stress and tiredness.
That's why, for example, if you're taking an exam, it's important to get a good night's sleep and to keep healthy.
All right, so what is important to take an exam, Larissa?
Take a good sleep.
Good. And there's also one more thing
Um,
in the last part. Okay, I'm going to play it again, just that last part.
Okay.
The first one is very good.
Taking an exam, it's important to get a good night's sleep and to keep healthy.
So what is the last one?
and keep healthy, maybe.
Yes, it is correct. Exactly. You have to trust your instincts, all right? Because there is a point in which you are related to English, and sometimes you listen to things, but you are not sure. But it's better if you trust that little thing, all right, in your head. It's always going to work. So, yes, you have to first, right, get instead of take, okay, get. You have to get a good night's sleep. It means you have to sleep well, right? But also you need to keep healthy. You need to keep yourself healthy. If you are sick, of course you're going to take a bad exam, right? Or at least if you take a good exam, it's going to be, well, something very, very good, right? Impressive. But it's good that you are in good health and that you rested very well. All right, it's not advisable to study all night long and then go directly to take the exam. It works for some people, but not for all of them. Because of the time, we're going to be finishing and closing here, Larissa, but I want to ask you the following, all right? What do you think about this? What is something that you do before exams, Larissa, that help you remember information?
Mm, I how is I read very times.
Good. So you read a lot of times, repeatedly, perhaps?
Yes,
Right?
that repeat, and yes, after that I take a rest.
Good. So you rest, right? You can say you get
I,
a good night's sleep or you rest directly, right? Good. What about, for example, coffee? Some people drink coffee to study, right? And they stay until, I don't know, 2, 3 in the morning, and then they sleep and they take the exam. Do you think that's a good idea or not? What do you say?
mm, sometimes when I don't have much time, maybe for study.
Good, right? And directly match time, right? When you don't have much time. Good. According to this one, right? But that's not going to be a good idea because sometimes coffee can create anxiety or levels of stress because you are too attentive to everything, right? And you are like that. So according to this one, that's going to be an element that it's going to be against, all right, your ability to remember things. But it's important again to know this one. And the last question, all right, is going to be related to those elements, stress and anxiety. To finish now, Larissa, have you ever been anxious or stressed out before taking an exam? And what did you do in that situation?
Yes, I not for the exam, but for the job. Um, I I I don't know. What I do. I I relax. I I don't
Okay,
know.
so you try to relax because when you're stressed, you are affected and you cannot do things at work properly, right? You make mistakes, you cannot focus, so you need to relax a little bit, right?
Yes, that's
Perhaps with some music or going out and take fresh air, thinking about something different, or sometimes eating something or drinking something can help out. right? So let's finish here. We're going to try to keep working, but by the way, the answer, I'm going to give you the answer, is going to be the three of them, okay? Eggs, spinach, and bananas. The three of them are good for improving your memory. All right. My recommendation is try to finish, all right, listening to this element is in Google Classroom, Larissa, and you can work with that one. All right. I don't know if you have any questions before finishing now.
Okay, teacher, no, I don't have.
Okay, good. Let's finish them, please. As always, let's complete the questions, please, Larissa. The survey is down below, the poll. Let's complete it, and that's it. Thanks for being here, and have a good night.
Thank you, teacher. See you on Monday.
Bye-bye. See you Monday. All right, now I'm with you, Paola. Good evening, Paola. How are you today?
Hi, teacher. I'm fine. Thank you.
Great. That's great to know, Paola. So with you, we're working with this document. We're going to go directly here. We were learning about this, right? It's waste food and natural gas. And we know that we can create biogas and we can produce methane or biomethane, right? That we can use as energy, right? Which was very interesting to reduce our reliance on natural gas. Let's keep working, please, then, Paola, by reading that short paragraph and this one over here. Okay, let's read this one, please.
Okay. It's an opportunity to find sources of energy other than the natural gas supplied by Russia, and there be distance ourselves from Vladimir Putin regime. He argues the best thing is if you can make the gas, put it in and replace Putin. European governments have faced a difficult scenario since Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine, on one hand introducing some sanctions against Putin's regime and wealthy businessmen close to him, while on the other continuing to buy millions of dollars of gas every day from Russia. Europe gets roughly 40% of its natural gas from Russia, and some countries have been reluctant to follow the US in imposing a ban on imports of Russia fossil fuels.
Great. Thank you very much, Paola. All right. And again, this is very, very useful. Right. The more you read again, the more useful and the more accustomed, right, you get to this information, to these words. And again, this kind of exercise is also very useful because, you know, in the TOEFL, you have a lot of articles, right? It can be academic articles mainly. So it's important to be accustomed, right, to reading information about any of those fields. But let's go to the point, Paola. You have two paragraphs here. Before I tell you the meaning, all right? I'm not going to tell you the meaning yet. I'm going to explain all the meaning of the words, but first, I would like you to tell me with what you understand, all right? All right, what is important from these two paragraphs, Paola? What is the main idea, or what is something important that you can mention?
Maybe it's the impact that Russia mm, Russia do about the natural gas because many countries need this for his countries, but in this moment they can receive this product, so is I think this is a problem.
Good, great. I agree with you, right? The main idea here is the Russia's conflict, right? You know that Russia and Ukraine are at war, right? And it means that Russia is not in good terms with Europe, right? All countries in Europe and countries around the world are imposing sanctions to Russia, right? But they are still, even though they are like giving Russia punishment, right? Even though that's happening, they still rely, they still depend on Russia because Russia gives them like 40% of natural gas, and that's a lot, right? If Russia decides to cut off that supply, then Europe is going to be in problems, right? Because Europe doesn't have access to other exporters, right, for natural gas. So Europe needs Russia. And that's why this article, right, it was about waste food. It was about biogas, methane, but now we're talking about Russia because it's important, right? It's important now that Russia is a very important country for Europe. But now let's get to the important things. First, the pronunciation, and then some words, Paola. First, let's word this word, please. Sorry, it's going to be thereby.
Thereby.
Thereby, good. Thereby means as a consequence, all right? It's like so. So as a consequence, therefore, thus, okay? A lot of meanings as a result, consequence, result, or something that comes after. Then this one, a little bit, this clear like you, so European.
European.
Good. Scenario, scenario.
Scenario.
Okay. This is going to be like oh, and this like t, so launched, launched.
Launch.
What was good? Very good. This like a invasion.
Invasion.
Good. This was not bad, Paola, but again, that is going to be a little bit more explosive, like ch, so sanctions, sanctions.
Sanctions.
Good, very good. This one you were insecure, but it was good. Let's repeat just in case, roughly.
Roughly.
Good. This means approximately, right? Approximately, roughly 40%. So it's an approximate. Then this O, like O, so imposing.
Imposing.
Good. And the stress here, instead of imports, is going to be the imports.
Imports.
Imports. There you go. All right. Now, the next part is the questions. What questions do you have from these two paragraphs, Paola?
About the argue, I didn't understand the last part.
Let's read, please. What part don't you understand?
Put it in and replace Putin. What mean?
Okay, so let's read this part, right?
Yes.
So let's try to understand. So the supply by Russia and thereby, and consequently, and as a result, distance ourselves from Vladimir Putin, right? Sorry, Vladimir Putin's regime. He argues the best thing is if you can make the gas, put it in, and replace Putin. So, in other words, they are just saying this. This is a play of words, okay? This is a play of words. So they are saying we don't need Putin, okay? So we have to use gas. We have to create make gas, all right, put it in, in, it's like related to putting, right? Putting in, it means use the gas that we can make and replace putting. Okay,
Okay.
so it's just a play of words, right? Let's make our own gas and we don't need putting anymore.
Okay.
All right. What else? If I ask you, I have just two words that I'm going to ask you, Paola, but I don't know if you have any other questions.
Mm, the word reluctant.
Okay. Good, very good, right? That was going to be one of my words. So to be reluctant to something is not wanting to do something. Okay, so if you are reluctant to accept your terms or someone's terms, it means that you don't want to do it. All right, it's simply that. All right, to be reluctant to something, it means that you don't want to do something, that you feel that it's not a good idea and you are not going to accept that. All right, for example, here some countries have been reluctant to follow the US in imposing a ban on imports of Russia fossil fuels. It means the US, right, said, hey, you should ban Russia. You don't have to import Russia's fuels. But some countries are reluctant. It means some countries don't want to follow the US advice because they rely on Russia. 40% of their energy, right, is from Russia. So they cannot follow the US ban. All right. And they are still, even though they are against Russia, they are still importing their gas. Okay. So again, it's not wanting to do something because it's not good for you. All right.
Okay.
I don't know. Any other words or expressions, perhaps?
No.
Okay, good. I just have one. This is similar to Spanish, but this is to practice and to finish, Paola. How can you explain sanctions? What is a sanction in this context?
Mm, mm, okay. Maybe when you do something wrong, you have a sanction, like mm, maybe you need to pay something, or you can do something for a few days.
Great. I think those are great examples, right? The best way to explain words, Paula, is always going to be by giving examples, right? And I think your examples are great. Exactly, right? A sanction is going to be a consequence for negative behavior, right? If you did something that you didn't have to do, there's going to be a consequence, right? A negative consequence for you. And as you said very well, it can be a financial or economic sanction, right? Related to money. It can be sanction related to actions, right? Things that you can or you cannot do, right? And also in terms of recognition, some countries are going to recognize yours as a good country or a bad country, right? So recognition, economical, all right, and related to actions. That's it, all right? I want to finish with that one, Paula. I don't know if you have any questions before finishing today.
No, teacher, it's okay.
Okay, very good. Let's finish then, please. As always, I'm going to ask you to answer the poll. Paola, it's down below. Let me know when you answer the questions, please.
Okay, it's done.
Great. Thank you very much. Again, have a good night and see you on Monday. Remember, tomorrow we don't have classes.
Okay, teacher. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. And Wilson, good evening, Wilson. Thanks again for your patience. Is everything okay? Are you there, Wilson? How are you? How do you feel today, Wilson?
Hi, teacher.
Hello, Wilson. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, teacher.
Okay, good. I thought that something happened. So how are you, Wilson? How do you feel today?
I felt good, I think.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, that's good to know, right? Sometimes things happen, but right, it's always good to be sometimes good, but it's also good to be bad, right? We learned that in the previous lesson as well. So good, Wilson, let's try to do something with you. We were working. Were we reading this article or were we working on the listening exercise, Wilson?
Uh, I think the listening.
It was the listening, right? So
Yeah.
let's go to that part because it was a little bit hard because of the accent, right? But now I'm going to show you the captions as well so that we remember. Okay, to work the review, I'm going to play the first part with the captions, all right, so that we remember, and then the next part we need to work without captions. All right, so let's play the first one.
6 minutes, we discuss an interesting topic and teach some related English vocabulary. And joining me to do this is Rob.
Hello. Sorry, Neil. How long did you say this program is?
6 minutes. It's 6-minute English, Rob.
Right, okay. Sorry, what's your name again?
Neil. My name's Neil, Rob. What's happened to your memory?
Sorry, Neil. Too many things on my mind. It's affecting my short-term memory. But what I can remember is that in this program, we're talking about improving our memory.
We are, and I think you might find it quite useful. Storing information.
I'm just going to make pauses to remember what we were doing in the last conversation, Wilson. So remember this one, right? Storing information, to save information, to store information, to keep information, in this case, in your brain.
Information is an important function of our brains, and scientists are always looking at ways to improve it.
This is the word, right? That we were talking about, also improve, right? To improve something, to make it better.
Yeah.
Also to stop it deteriorating or becoming
And this is the other word, right? Deteriorating.
worse.
Yes. And we all know that memories, that's the noun for things we remember from the past, are nice to have, but also important for remembering who people are.
Right? So why is important to have memories? Because you have to remember who people are, where things are kept, right? This is the word, the past participle of keep, where things are like put in a certain
Where things are kept and how things look.
way, and how things look, the appearance of things. Those are very important things to remember, and that's why you need a good memory.
Soon we'll be discussing a new idea for improving your memory, but not before I've set today's quiz question. There are many ways we can improve our memory, but one way is through the type of food we eat. According to the BBC Food website, which type of food supports good memory function? Is it A, eggs, B, spinach, or C, bananas?
Well, as a kid, I was always told that spinach was good for me. Popeye ate it to make him strong. So I'll say B, spinach.
Well, I'll have the answer later on.
Okay, up to that part, that's the review. Now we're going to go to the next part, but again, I wanted to show you those words in the captions so that everything is clear. But I want to ask you, Wilson, one more time. Do you have any questions about that first part before continuing working in the new part? Let me know, please.
No, I don't have any question, teacher.
All right, so then let's pay attention. In this part, we have very, very important information, Wilson. First, try to listen to factors. There are factors that affect our memory. Okay, try to listen to that. Second, try to tell me why or what is important, sorry, not why. Why is important to do some things before taking an exam? All right, that's the second thing. And lastly, try to identify the styles of learning or memory that we have. Okay, so three things, Wilson. Factors that affect the memory, then things before taking exams, and styles of learning or memory. All right, I'm going to play it 2 times. Try to take notes if you want, Wilson. All right, you can use Word or a notebook to take notes. Are you ready for the second part?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go.
Now let's talk more about improving our memory. Memory is the ability to encode, store, and recall information, but a number of factors can affect people's memory processes, including health, anxiety, mood, stress, and tiredness.
That's why, for example, if you're taking an exam, it's important to get a good night's sleep and to keep healthy. But Neil, when you're revising for an exam, what helps you to remember facts?
I tend to write things down again and again and again and again.
Well, that's one way, but people have different styles to help them remember. According to the BBC's I Wonder Guide, there are 3 different styles: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. That's
Okay, it's up to that part. I'm going to go back again, Wilson, and I'm going to play it one more time. All right, so if you are lacking some information, try to write it here. Okay, so this is the second time, and then we try to answer the questions. Here we go.
Now, let's talk more about improving our memory. Memory is the ability to encode, store, and recall information, but a number of factors can affect people's memory processes, including health, anxiety, mood, stress, and tiredness.
That's why, for example, if you're taking an exam, it's important to get a good night's sleep and to keep healthy. But Neil, when you're revising for an exam, what helps you to remember facts?
I tend to write things down again and again and again and again.
Well, that's one way, but people have different styles to help them remember. According to the BBC's I Wonder Guide, there are 3 different styles: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. That's learning by doing and practicing something over and over again. That sounds
Okay, up to that part. We're going to continue, but before, how can you answer the first questions, or how can you explain this part in general, Wilson?
Okay, first, he talks about first before to take an exam, exam about the brain. I think we can, or we must sleep good, and a factor that that is a negative is the stress. And the other thing I heard is about how to remember the things. He says, or he said, he always writing. He always write again and again and again. And but the BBC said that there are 3 types of improve, no, remember the things. That is, yeah, I think visual, the kinesthetic, and audition. That's all that I remember, teacher.
Great. Thank you very much, Wilson. It's good, all right? It is very, very good. We are lacking information, but the main ideas are there, Wilson, all right? So you say it's all, but actually you got most of it, all right? Most of it. Now, Wilson, only one little detail in terms of correction. You're going to see that they are going to use the words sleep and good, but in a different way. But if you use it in the way that you told me, you need to sleep good, all right? That's going to be incorrect. Instead of good, you need to use the adverb well. Okay, when you describe a verb, you need to use an adverb instead of an adjective. All right, so you're going to say you need to sleep well, okay, instead of good. For example, you also say, you don't say you speak good, you have to say you speak well. All right, or you sing good. No, you sing well. All right, so after a verb, if you want to describe, instead of good, well. All right, but you can use the words together only if you tell it this way: you need to get a good night sleep. Okay, in that way you're describing. Exactly, right? So in that way, it's not an adverb, it's an adjective. It's a good night sleep. It's how the sleep is, and the sleep is not a verb, it's more like a noun. All right, a good night's sleep. So good, that's one. But you're missing one more, okay? There's one more thing that you need to take an exam. Also, you mentioned stress, if I'm not wrong, right? A factor. It's good, but we need to identify at least three more. Okay, we have three more elements that are going to affect our memory. And the last part was again very good. You have the visual, the kinesthetic, and you have the other one. You told me one word, audition, but try to get the main word. Okay, the word is a little bit different, but it's related to audition. All right, so what I'm going to do now, Wilson, I'm just going to play that part in which they are going to mention that. All right, and try to identify. We're going to play it 2 times, only that part. It's 3 seconds. So let me look for it, please.
So I'll say B, spinach.
Factors can affect us.
That's
Affect people's
Good, so
memory.
it's here. Okay, so let's listen to this part.
Factors can affect people's memory processes, including health, anxiety, mood, stress, and tiredness. People's memory processes, including health, anxiety, mood, stress, and tiredness. People's memory processes, including health, anxiety, mood, stress, and tiredness.
All right, so what are other factors that can affect the process of memory?
Mm, I heard health.
Good, very good. That's one, health.
Mm, I don't know the other words.
All right, let's
Was
listen together.
fast.
I'm going to repeat the words, all right?
Factors can affect people's memory processes, including health,
Okay, health, then anxiety, listen,
anxiety, mood.
anxiety, okay, exactly. Health, anxiety, then the third one is going to be mood. Listen to that.
But a number of factors can affect people's memory processes, including health, anxiety, mood, stress, and tiredness.
Mood, right? Mood is like your humor, okay? Your humor, how you feel. Stress, and the last one is tiredness. Tiredness. What do you
That's
think
why
is tiredness? I'm going to show you the words.
Tiredness is when you, for example, when you worked a lot, and when you get your home, you just want to sleep because you are tired.
Exactly. Correct. Right? So tired is the noun for tired, or tiredness, sorry, is the noun for tired. Tired is adjective, right? I am tired. But tiredness is a noun, right? So tiredness is important if you write, or is important affecting you when you have to do something, right? But yes, is when you feel tired, right? Is the status of being tired. Good, so these are the words. Let's repeat, please. Wilson, health, anxiety, mood.
Health, anxiety, mood,
Good. Then stress and tiredness.
stress, and tiredness.
Good. Now let's listen how they are going to read.
Processes, including health, anxiety, mood, stress, and tiredness.
All right. And of course, there the accent is different, right? Because again, this is British English, but the main idea, right, and the main parts of the words, they need to be clear. All right. Try to pay attention also to those details. Anxiety, it means that there's like an X over there. Anxiety. All right. Moods. If you see here the u, then perhaps it's going to be a double u. All right. Oh, sorry, double O. That is going to become a u. Right. So one more time. It's going to be anxiety, mood, the words that you didn't get, right? And tiredness. And the other ones, health and stress, which you got. Okay. Now the next part, only one more part, please. And you're going to tell me here, Wilson, what is the second thing that you need before an exam?
if you're taking an exam, it's important to get a good night's sleep and to keep healthy. It's important to get a good night's sleep and to keep healthy. It's important to get a good night's sleep and to keep healthy.
So what is the other thing that you need, Wilson, besides a good night's sleep?
To keep healthy.
To keep healthy, exactly, right? To be healthy, to keep healthy is very important. If you are sick, that's going to affect your performance in an exam, right? So sleep well, and be sure that you take care of yourself to be healthy. Right? That's the best thing that you can do to take an exam, of course, besides studying a lot. And the last thing,
different styles to help them remember. According to the BBC's I Wonder Guide, there are 3 different styles.
okay, so here only try to get the name. Instead of audition, there's one specific name.
Visual, auditory, and kinesthetic styles. Visual, auditory, and kinesthetic.
So what is then the specific name for that one, Wilson?
Auditory.
Okay, good. Instead of but only that S, auditory is going to be only auditory. All right, auditory,
Okay,
auditory.
auditory.
They read it like that, right? Like auditory, like there's no O, right? If you want to read this slowly, it's going to be auditory, auditory. But if you read it, all right, and when you're speaking, you can only say auditory, right?
Auditory.
Auditory and kinesthetic, right? Kinesthetic, because there's a TH.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if you have any questions about this vocabulary or about this practice, Wilson. Let me know, please.
No, teacher, I don't have.
All right, good. My recommendation then also, Wilson, to finish the class, finish watching this. All right, finish watching the video. This is for you, because at the end of the video, they are going to give a list of the vocabulary, okay, of the new vocabulary, and they are going to give the definitions. They are going to explain, for example, memory one more time, memories. They are going to explain kinesthetic. They are going to explain other words that they mentioned afterwards, all right? And also, they are going to give over here sorry, the answer to the question. But actually, that's something I'm going to mention now. It's not only going to be spinach. I think you mentioned spinach, Wilson, but they say that the 3 are important for improving your memory, okay? Eggs, spinach, and bananas. So if you want to improve your memory, you should eat those 3, all right, types of food to improve your memory and to be healthy in that way, all right? And that's it. I don't know if you have any final questions or comments before finishing, Wilson. Let me know.
No, teacher, it was so much interesting.
Great. That's great to know, Wilson. Again, this is going to be for you on Google Classroom. You can finish watching it whenever you want, all right? But that's going to be it. Let's answer the questions from the poll, please, Wilson, and let me know when you do it.
Okay. Yeah, I've done, teacher.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Remember that tomorrow we don't have classes, right, because of the holidays. So I'll see you directly on Monday. Don't forget to work on Pearson, and that's it. Exactly.
Okay, teacher.
All right. Bye-bye. Good night, Wilson.
Good night, teacher. Bye.